This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. Interviewing musicians, comedians, sports personalities, and many, many other individuals all over the world, sharing their story of encouragement, inspiration, what they've been through, what they've gone through, as well as amazing musicians from all over the world. Kick back and relax. For some amazing people you probably have never heard of and their story. Each of us have a story of hope, of courageousness, of inspiration. This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one-on-one podcast. It's always about encouraging others. Hello, and welcome to Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. I'm your host, Jody Sheffield. So glad you're back for another fun, exciting episode with amazing guests and awesome music as always. My guest today, he and I've known him for a number of years, and just now be able to catch up with him. He has been in the broadcast media business for over 35 years. 35 years. That's crazy. He is now in his 11th year as a member of the Oregon State Beavers broadcast team. He has been on KIRO TV and radio for 23 years. Seattle Seahawks pregame and sideline reporter for about 8 years. His resume is just long. Been a lot of places and seen a lot of things. Ron Callan has spent a good chunk of his career doing broadcasting, and I can't wait to talk with him and catch up with how he's been and just see who encouraged him along the way in his very long career in broadcasting, and so excited to catch up with him and just see what he's up to. Also, as always, have amazing music. We have Jessica and Witty and Chris Jones, their song, My Own Damn Party. Rocky Michaels, his song, Better Man. And Sydney Irving's song, Seasons Change. I thought it was a good, appropriate song. We in spring and summer right around the corner. I thought a good song for us to listen to as well. And I got a clip from Ken Davis, a comedian who is hilarious. And most of us have kids and you know, going to church. It's a good, funny church clip I'll share with you. It might make you chuckle and bring some laughter. But welcome to Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. And my guest is Mr. Ron Callan. Hello, Ron.
How you doing?
Good, yourself?
Good. Hanging out. Went over to Cannon Beach to meet some friends for lunch today and back home.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the Chit and Chat Encouraging One Another podcast. It's been a number of years since you and I talked.
That's true. That is so true. I think we have talked this century, though, maybe.
I think so, yeah. I figured out about 17 years ago, actually, when I delivered the Wonder Bread. And I think you came from Bainbridge, always getting your orange cupcakes. Is that still your favorite?
The orange cupcakes in Paulsbo on my way to Seattle, I think, when I had to drive around. That was not a lot of fun.
Oh, that was brutal.
Left Bainbridge at 2:10, got to work about 3:45, got on the air at 5, so. Yeah, long ago, far away, but fond memories of my time back in those days working at KIRO and all that, and seems like a lifetime ago.
And now you're Oregon State Beavers, so orange cupcakes. You kept the orange going.
Right. That's true. I mean, the Beavs been a blessing to me. It's been a great transition from Seattle to Portland, and I'm on my 2007. I started broadcasting Oregon State football. And then in 2008, I started doing Oregon State women's basketball also. And I've been doing those both ever since. And it's just been beyond fun. When you get they pay you to talk about live sporting events and you don't know what's going to happen. You just got to be on top of it. And it's been just a hoot.
Before we get into some great conversations, I like to throw some icebreaker questions at my guests to kind of get the wheels turning a little bit.
Sure.
For your first question, do you recall what your first job you ever had?
My first job, let's see, was in high school. And the McDonald's had moved into Napa, California, where I was born and raised. And so I went down to McDonald's. They hired me. And the guy said, "You're going to cook burgers." Okay, I'll cook burgers for you. And so I started to do it. But my Achilles heel, believe it or not, is that I'm left-handed, because as a burger cook at McDonald's, you have to use your right hand to flip.
Huh.
So I started doing the left hand, and he started yelling at me, "You can't use your left hand." And so I tried it with the right, but I wasn't very good. And so, like, after 3 days, I hung up the burger flipper and decided to get another summer job. And I got a job actually taking census, which was really interesting and a lot of fun. And it paid like twice what McDonald's was paying back then.
Yeah, I'm a lefty too, so lefties unite.
Well, yeah, there still is, there's always going to be prejudice in baseball against lefties,
Yep. I played first base quite a bit, so I
Yep.
love playing first because I had a little more advantage, I think, playing first.
No second, third, or short. No catcher. Sorry.
Yep.
But I pitched and played first and center field. So, I love that.
Question number 2: how long you been doing sports? Over 30 years, right?
I started in 1981 at KIRO, but I was doing sports features as early as 70. Well, actually, when I was in college, I was broadcasting Linfield College football my senior year. So I guess since 73, 74 school year. So that's 26 and 23, 49 years.
Dang, yeah. I was born in 70.
But I did, Jody, I did news. I started out actually in TV news, but my first big break, I was in Salem, Oregon at a little TV station, and you had to do everything there. I mean, anchoring, reporting, news, sports. The weather was sponsored by a local mortuary, and the guy who was the weatherman was one of the morticians. And the joke was he's a little stiff on the air, but he was actually a nice guy. Rigdon Ransom, I think, was the name of the funeral home. But I had to shoot the film. I had to process the film. You did it all, but it was a great place to learn about TV. And so then I got a job in Boise, and I worked there 4 years, and I did news and sports and shot video, and then went up to Spokane and worked a 5-night-a-week show called PM Magazine. I got to do some really cool features and co-hosted with a woman by the name of Patty Lowe, who was very talented. And then I did a story for PM Magazine, Jody, in like early 80, I guess late 80, early 81. There was a coach at Washington State named George Raveling.
Mm-hmm.
And he was coaching the Cougs, and they beat number 1 UCLA in Pullman at Friel Court. And at the end of the win, he started crying. I put together the story because, a sidebar, Spokane was hell after May 18th, 1980, because of Mount St. Helens. It turned into an ash factory. And when the weather was bad, it was just awful. I mean, we were wearing masks before people were wearing masks. And so bottom line, I did the story. He cried at the end of the story. I sent it over to Seattle at KIRO, and they hired me.
Oh, wow.
So I got out of there. And that was April of 81, and the rest is history.
Question number 3: if you could eat any one food without getting fat or getting full, what food are you choosing and why?
Okay, food. Well, my problem is I really like food. I mean, I'm 6'2". I weigh around 200. I should be 190. But, I really love shrimp cocktails. I really like steak and lobster.
Mm-hmm.
But for the everyday meal, I love pizza. I love baked chicken. I do a lot of cooking. And, my son got me hooked on shake and bake, actually. He demanded shake and bake. Even now, he comes to visit. Are we having shake and bake tonight? And so, I do it with noodles and throw some peas in with the noodles. But, so also an incredible salad's also really good, Jody. What about you?
Yeah, I have my 4 kids. 3 still live with us, and they're adults, and they all pay rent. Now we got to eat.
My vote doesn't matter because I'll go anywhere. I will choose.
Okay.
Yeah, I will eat steak, hamburgers,
Yeah.
whatever. Wherever we go, I'll figure something on the menu.
And you're living in which town now?
I'm in Silverdale still.
All right. I was there Silverdale Wednesday.
Oh,
I ate at a place called the Grilled Onion, maybe.
Yep.
And it was pretty good. And then the week before, we ate at this fish place down by Silverdale Park. And it's good. It's like family-owned fish place. And they really do a good job there. I can't remember the name of it, but it's, check it out sometime. You can't miss it.
Over the years, kind of changed hands a little bit.
Right. But food is, that's always something to talk about on the air if you're running out of things.
Well, when you're back in town, give me a holler. We'll get together and do that and get a bite to eat somewhere.
That'd be fun.
Number 4, if you had 2 plane tickets or 2 tickets to go anywhere in the world for a 2-week paid vacation, where are you going and who's going with you?
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I'm going on a trip pretty soon to Ireland, which is really kind of a place I've always wanted to go. My last name is Callan, Callan. So we're going to Callan, Ireland.
Oh, wow.
So I wish it was being paid for, but it's not. But I haven't I'm going with a friend who lives on Bainbridge. She and I have known each other since 1985. We used to sing together in shows in Winslow there at the Bainbridge Performing Arts. Her name's Tanya. And she was married. I was married. And we always just sang together, as part of the shows. We were in Grease, the musical, together and other things. And so, I went to Portland and she was married. And then 8 years ago, her husband passed away. And I was down in Portland. But about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we met up for lunch, and we just really enjoy each other's company, a lot of laughs, and so we're going to laugh all the way to Ireland.
That'd be a fun trip. My wife is part Irish and Italian, and she wants to one day go over there, I think. But I just love the music. I love Celtic music, and just the scenery is amazing over there.
Oh yeah.
Number 5. What are your top 5 most memorable sporting events you've actually attended?
Well, I've got a lot. I mean, since I'm a sports broadcaster, pretty much I've been to Super Bowls, Final Fours, Olympics. Those are big events that you'll never forget because they're special. And I got to broadcast the Final Four game with Oregon State women's basketball in Indianapolis, and they played against Connecticut. It was just really exciting. Nice. And women's basketball is really coming on strong, Jody. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah.
But this past March Madness was incredible with Iowa and LSU. And the funny thing is, Oregon State, the team I'm the play-by-play guy for, they played both LSU and Iowa this past year. And so it was a tough year for us, but exciting overall. I was at a couple of Sonic games when they got to the NBA Finals. Mm-hmm. That was really exciting. I was at the Seahawks game when Beast Mode ran all over the Saints and the earthquake monitors went off. That was memorable. Mariners baseball. I was standing behind home plate in the camera well when Edgar hit that double. Griffey scored.
Yeah.
I mean, then we were out there in the mayhem. That was exciting stuff. Rose Bowls are great. I always enjoy the Rose Bowls. And, but I think my favorite thing and most memorable is, like I mentioned, I've always been a singer my whole life. Right. Mm-hmm. And so Oregon State women's basketball, like all college basketball teams do, they have a senior day. They honor the seniors for their time at that particular university. And so in 2016, which is when the Beavs went to the Final Four, this just coincidentally, we had a Canadian player named Ruth Hamblin, who went on to play in the WNBA, and she's playing in Europe now. 6'6" kid from up in northern British Columbia, Houston, BC, 10 hours north of Vancouver. And she would always stand so good for our anthem. I surprised her by singing the Canadian anthem.
Oh, wow.
And she cried and everybody loved it. And so there was a junior player named Colby Orem And after the game was over, she came up to me and said, "You're going to sing that for me next year, right?" And so I did that. And then the next year we had a senior from Germany. And so I ended up singing the German anthem with her dad in German. 2019, Jody, we had Joanna Grimick from Poland. So I had to learn the Polish anthem. And then we had COVID. Things got shut down. So last year, I had to do Paraguay and Serbia. And this year I had to do another Serbian because we had 2 Serbian players. So it's become kind of a thing, and it's been, people expect it, but it's been really rewarding because those kids who come from those countries, they're listening to our anthem, but never theirs. And they finally get to hear theirs, and the look on their faces. They're on YouTube. You can see a few of them on YouTube, but that's probably been the most satisfying because, it was just kind of on a whim that I did the first one, but then it became, they cared and they wanted it. And so it's been my pleasure to do that. And my voice isn't like fantastic or anything, but you just, you memorize the song and you go out and get her done, but you don't want to screw it up or mispronounce words because they'll, I've been pretty good because a couple of players, I said, "Hey, sit down with me for a minute," and they'd help me with the pronunciations because Slavic and Serbian, I mean, those are not easy languages to sing because they're so different than singing English.
For my listeners out there who might not know who you are, I've connected a number of times. As you said, and I've known you, less than 20 years ago. Give us a little brief bio on who Ron Callan is.
Well, like I said, I was born in Napa, California, and went to Napa High School. Played football, soccer, basketball, baseball, and ran track. So I lettered in 5 sports there. Then I went to Linfield College and wanted to play football, but unfortunately we had the street that I grew up on. 2 of my neighbors were drafted into Vietnam, and both were killed. And then one of my sister's boyfriend, like in 1969, he was killed. So 3 people I knew were killed in Vietnam, and it played with my head. Going to the funerals and seeing these young lives snuffed out. And so it changed my attitude. And I kind of went off on I'm not doing any sports, but I went to college. But then, a year or 2 went by and I ended up playing soccer and enjoyed it. And, The Healing Hands of Time. That's a song I always really, bad times, put on The Healing Hands of Time by Willie Nelson. Get you back on track. And that's one thing that got me back on track. But the desire to have a career in broadcasting. And so I got into an internship in Salem at KVDO, that little TV station there. And it was an independent station. And I got to know the governor of Oregon really well, Tom McCall. And he was always, "Hey, come on in," because he used to be a broadcaster. And so one day I'm working at this TV station and I get a call from the front desk. "Ron, guess who's here? From the streets of San Francisco, Michael Douglas is out. He wants to talk to the sports guy." Okay. It's Salem, Oregon. And so I go out there, and it's Michael Douglas, right? Of course, you probably know him from other things more than the streets of San Francisco, but Kirk Douglas' son, right? Famous guy. So he's in Salem, Oregon. What's he doing at this little TV station? So I say, "Hey, I'm Ron Callan." He goes, "Say, I'm looking for somebody to read a script for a movie we're shooting here. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest." So, okay, I said, "Well, yeah, where's the script?" And so I read it for him, and he says, "Look, come down to the set tomorrow. I'll give you $500 cash. You just under the table. We'll give it to you, and you read the script, and then we'll use some of that audio in the movie." And so I did it. I went down and I met Nurse Ratched, who was so nice. And I don't know if you know the movie, but Jack Nicholson was in that movie, and he told me to blank off. Well, because he was in his character, right? He's one of those guys who stays in character, and he was getting ready to do a scene or something. But anyway, that's a memory I'll never forget, being a little tiny part of that movie. You can barely hear me in it, But that was an experience I'll never forget. And then another time, am I going on too long here, Jody?
Oh, you're good, man. This is
Okay.
fun.
All right. Anyway, I'm blathering. So Tom McCall, assistant, called me. He says, "Hey, 60 Minutes is down here doing a story on Tom McCall." And Mike Wallace was, I don't know if you remember him,
Yep.
but he was the hard-hitting reporter, and he was doing a story on the bottle bill, which was Oregon was the first state to initiate a bottle bill for recycling. So they were doing a story on that, and I met Michael Douglas. So, as I moved on in my career, I went, as I mentioned, to Boise and Spokane, and then I got to Seattle. And then in the year 1999, we'll cut through a bunch of years here, but in the year 1999, I was working for KIRO Radio doing the early morning. That's when we probably crossed paths a few times. And I was doing the live radio from Fenway Park at the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
So I was back in Boston, Fenway Park. This is, and it was an incredible week because it was the team of the century game. So I got to go to a luncheon and a reception, and I'm standing there talking to Juan Marichal, Reggie Jackson, Willie McCovey was there, Willie Mays was there, and others. And so what a thrill for a guy growing up as a baseball fan in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. So here comes the game. And Fenway Park, I don't know how well you know the stadium.
I've been to Fenway, actually.
Okay, well, there's a place down the right field corner called the Pesky Pole.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My media seat was about 3 rows behind that. So I go down after doing a bunch of live reports out behind the Green Monster for KIRO. I went to my seat, but there's a guy from the Manchester, New Hampshire paper in my seat, an older guy. And I say, "Hey, excuse me, that's my seat." He goes, "No, it's not. It's my seat." And so I end up going to the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I went to the people in charge of the media relations. I said, "Hey, that dude's in my seat." He goes, "Oh, yeah. Don't worry about him. Come with me." So they take me up to the main press box right behind home plate. He goes, "I have one seat right there in the first row. Take it, man. You got lucky." So I go down and sit down, and I've got a microphone, Jody, that's got a CBS insignia on it, KIRO, right?
Yep.
And so I sit down, and I look to my right, Mike Wallace, 60 Minutes. To my left, Morton Dean, ABC Evening News. So I'm sitting next to these two, legendary broadcasters, East Coast style. They're all East Coast, and I'm from the West Coast. And so Mike Wallace sees me, and he says, "Oh, you're CBS guy. Huh? What market?" I said, "Seattle." He goes, "Oh, Seattle, love Seattle, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Well, you don't remember me, but back in 1974, you were with Tom McCall in Oregon." And he didn't remember, but he remembered the story he had done. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Well, we briefly met, blah, blah, blah." And then they started to introduce all of the players from the team of the century. Now, Ted Williams was the ultimate Boston Red Sox player. And he was the last player introduced. And he was on a golf cart because he's getting up there. He's not doing well in his 80s. But, all the Red Sox fans were going crazy. I didn't know it, but Mike Wallace, a huge Red Sox fan, grew up in Brookline, Mass. And so he starts coming in the golf cart, and I feel this weight on my shoulder. Mike Wallace is crying like a baby, and he's on my shoulder. I'm holding him up. And so his producers, "What's wrong? What happened? What happened?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, just overwhelmed. Sorry, I used your shoulder there, blah, blah, blah." But, for the kid from the West Coast to be holding up this guy who's the grizzled reporter, who everybody says Mr. Tough Guy, and he's crying, right? That was a night I won't forget.
Did you receive encouragement, inspiration along the way in your doing broadcasting? Did someone kind of mentor you, or you just kind of go for it and just you had a vibe, the feeling to do broadcasting?
Well, I think that's it, because when I was a little kid, I was a huge Giants fan, and I would memorize the starting lineups. Then I would do like a PA announcer in the shower instead of singing.
Okay.
Back third, number 24, the center fielder, Willie Mays, that kind of thing. Then I got a tape recorder when I was a 6th grader. I would go around. I still have a tape going around the neighborhood and interviewing people, just, other kids. And so I knew it was in there. It was in my blood, and I wanted to be a major league pitcher. My senior year of high school, I went to a Kansas City Royals camp. It was like in San Francisco, kind of a tryout camp. And they said, "Hey, man, you're good. You got a good fastball, and you're left-handed. Go to college." But then right after that's when the whole Vietnam thing kind of took over my life with the tragedy. So, baseball didn't happen, but I did pitch hardball as late as 2011. So into my 50s, I was still pitching hardball because I was just having so much fun. And so that's been a sweet thing. But as far as individuals, I guess my college professor, Dr. Craig Singletary, he knew that I had a knack, and I wasn't afraid to be myself on the air. I think that's the key, to be a successful broadcaster. Unless you're just a news reader, if you've got to do shows and stuff, you've got to be comfortable and be able to tell stories. And so Craig Singletary, that would be my mentor. And we kept in touch throughout his life. He passed away maybe about 6 or 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And briefly, I saw your story about you tried for the Royals. I actually tried for the Mariners in 1990. I got out of off duty as in the Navy, drove to Bellingham. Didn't know where Bellingham was. Map back those days we had maps.
Right. The old map days. Yeah.
So I drove to Bellingham and tried for the Mariners. So they didn't call me, but it's something I always will treasure. I tried out for the Mariners, so it was really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Baseball is, it's changed a lot now with all of these clocks. But I think it's speeding up the game. I watched part of the game when Castillo had retired the first 18 batters the other day, and he, he was in a groove. You can really get into a groove where you have to get that thing done. So, I think the jury's out, but so far so good.
You worked on TV and news for about 7 years. I was kind of reading your bio a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part of being, in that particular field, doing news and constant bad news and, it's crime. And was that part really tough to do?
It was for me. And that's one reason why I moved into sports. When I was in Boise, you did the stuff from the studio, but you had to go out. And, I saw carnage from car wrecks, these small markets. You go, you shoot a video of a car wreck and you see, somebody's passed away, and you just try to keep it in perspective, and you try to just not emotionally get involved. One day, I think it was like 1977, maybe, I'm eating lunch with a woman named Judy Rooks, who was a reporter. We're both reporters, but we're on the road. You take turns doing stories, and one person shoots the story for the other person. So we're eating lunch east of Boise, Idaho, off of I-84 at Mountain Home. We're having a sandwich, and here comes a cop on I-84, 100 miles an hour going by. So we say, okay, well, we better follow. If we miss the story, it'll be our fault. So we follow this cop. He takes an exit about 10 miles up, and we pull up behind him, and there's a Cessna upside down, crash. Ooh. And so we get out. Judy's shooting the video, and he says, "You, dude, come here, help me." So all of a sudden, I'm not a reporter. I'm just a human trying to help somebody. Mm-hmm. And so we got this man out who really hurt his back. There was a little 9-year-old girl kind of walking around, but the mom was deceased. Mm. So we had to get her out too. And the helicopter came and took him. But, those kind of sobering moments, I did what I think I did the right thing by helping and not just being a bystander, because he was by himself too. I mean, you could not help. Right. And so I'm glad I did. And I always think about that moment sometimes when you reflect on life and the good and the bad and the ugly and things like that. But and sports, it's exciting, but there's tragedies in sports too.
Yeah. I'm sure your many years of doing, sports and broadcasting, you've seen a lot of legends come and go. Recently, Dori Monson and John Clayton pass away. Can you tell us a little bit about, you worked with Dori before. Can you share a little bit, some stories about Dori and what he meant to you and this community?
Well, Dori Monson was a consummate professional and a great guy and a good friend. And I was totally shocked when, at 61, he died of this massive heart attack, I guess. But he did, I'd seen him, because he worked all the Seahawk games. And, I still work at the Seahawk games in the press box. We can talk about that in a minute if you want. But Dori was just a dynamite professional, talented, did his homework. As he got later in life, his shows became more political than I think in the older days. And some people loved him. Some people didn't like his politics, but still loved to listen to him because of the way he delivered it in a fair and balanced nature. I mean, he wasn't like, some crazy right-wing wacko or left-wing wacko, whatever you want. He did a lot of great stuff. He coached a high school championship team, Shortcrest, right? And we used to have incredible battles back in the 90s at Seattle Pacific University in basketball. We would get off the air, go over. Ken Bone, who was the coach of the Seattle Pacific Falcons, would let us come into the gym, and we would go one-on-one, a great hour. We'd spend an hour just working hard and battling. And we were a good matchup. I was a lefty, a little taller. He was quicker, right-handed outside shooter, so it was pretty even. But we still, back 6 weeks before he passed, we had a great conversation on the phone. We talked about some of those days. And, I think we're all going to miss Dori Monson. And with John Clayton, I got to know him when he covered the Seahawks for the Tacoma paper. And, I was doing the Seahawks for KIRO TV. And then I started to do the sidelines and pregame show when I moved over to radio full time in 96. And I remember hanging out with John Clayton at NFL owners meetings, like in Arizona. And this guy, you'd be talking to him and then you'd look away, he'd be gone. And then all of a sudden he's in corner with Al Davis, the Raiders owner, getting a scoop. This guy, he just had he could disarm some of these people because he was an unassuming guy. He wasn't like some boisterous guy, but he was just a great professional and had a good career. And it's too bad he's gone as well. So you get a little melancholy sometimes about life when you see some of the people you were so close to, just go, especially with it was a tough year for people 61 years old. I mean, Mike Leach, the Washington State coach, he was 61, heart attack. Dori, 61, heart attack. So, in fact, I went out and got my heart calcium level check to see, because my daughter says, Dad, you got to get it. You're older than Dori was. So I went and got it. My heart's in great shape. So I'm blessed with that. But, it was always fun to see him at the Seahawks games. When I got laid off from KIRO in early 2002, I think, I got a call from the Seahawks. They were looking for an internal public address announcer for the new stadium because the guy who had been doing it was retiring. So I ended up as the first guy I'm the only guy who's had that job full time since it opened in 2002. I'm still doing it. When I have Beaver conflicts, I have to do the Beavers because they're paying me the big bucks compared to the Seahawks. But but hey, they always welcome me back, and I'm sure that I'll be back there for a 22nd season coming up here this fall. The Seahawks could be pretty good, so we'll see. But yeah, I've had a varied career, and I've got three incredible kids that grew up on either Bainbridge Island, or my youngest daughter Lily was there not very long because I ended up going to Portland, but they took me for my birthday here in January. My three kids took just me up to Squim to stay at this bed and breakfast called a Lavender Farm. It looks like a castle in Squim. And so we were up there for a couple of nights, just the four of us, and it was really just tremendous. And my dog was there, right, Sagan? And so, I'm doing well, and it sounds like you're doing great. And it's good you got your own podcast going.
Yeah, it's been going about a year now, and I just love reaching out to basically anybody. I'm not afraid to ask anybody, and musicians, comedians that want to share encouragement, and I want to do my own coffee shop. It costs money. Podcasting's free, so it's more fun.
Exactly. There you go. Well, you should get your own coffee shop. Then you can make the coffee shop one of your sponsors, and you can do your podcast from your coffee shop.
Sounds good to me. I went to John Clayton for a second. he was like the original walking encyclopedia before encyclopedias were encyclopedias.
No, if he ever had a question about any team, players, I mean, that was his forte. That was his strength. And what a pleasure to be able to get to know and hang out with him for a while before he got into the ESPN thing. And, he got so busy, he didn't have time to chit chat as much. But he's a great guy. And, I had, who was it? Steve Largent cried on TV with me his last game. Brian Bosworth cried on TV with me on live post-game shows. Same with Largent. And I think Bosworth was just upset about something. But my favorite one was probably this one, Jody. September 10th, 1995. Mm-hmm. I was one of the Hull reporters for the senior tour event at Inglewood Country Club. And so my job was to interview golfers coming off at the end of the final hole. And so, all these senior golfers, Lee Trevino, Gary Player, all of them. But here comes Arnold Palmer. September 10th is his birthday. And he was turning 66. Well, he comes into the 18th hole, sinks about a 15-foot birdie, and shoots his age, 66, which he'd never done before, right? So I go over to him and say, "Hey, Arnie, congratulations, man. You shot your age on your age today right here." And he just started crying. And so I didn't, here I got Arnold Palmer live on Channel 7, and he's crying. So I just kind of put my arm around him and said, "Arnie, hey, man, congratulations." And then he got his wherewithal about him, and he was able to give me a great answer. And he was such a legend too, right? So you got this legend, not just a golfer, but the golfer, right?
Yeah.
And so those moments, you just say, wow, I'm a lucky guy to be in this position. Not to try to get him to cry, but just the emotion, the emotion of the moment. It just showed how honest a person he was, and he wasn't afraid.
You were a sideline reporter for the Seahawks for a number of years. What goes into being a sideline reporter? Is a little more, taking notes. I'm sure you got to keep an eye on the action, or otherwise you're going to miss something. How was that for you?
It was a blast. You get to know all the players during training camp, so they know you, so they're familiar with you. And you get to know the team physicians, because the number one thing a sideline reporter does, hey, number 50, Fred Young, he's out. What's going on? So that's, you got to find out, right? You don't need to take notes. You just got to find out what's going on. A lot of times you actually see the injury and you know what the injury is without even talking to the doctor, And so I always said, if I couldn't get a hold of the doctor, but I could see it was an ankle injury, I just say, hey, I'm not an MD, but it looks like an ankle injury. Because time's of the essence, and you want to be the first one to get it before somebody, right? So, but no, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed working with Steve Rabel, and I actually took over Pete Gross's job when he passed away. Play-by-play guy. When he passed away in '92, I ended up taking over the morning radio sports. So that's when I moved into radio full time. But great experiences on the road, going to Lambeau. The game after 9/11 at Husky Stadium was something you'll never forget. And some of the great wins, and the coaches. I did a show with Janice Erickson, who is just we've always crossed paths somehow in life. And Dennis and I had a great time. Warren Moon, I did a show with Joey Calloway when he was a wide receiver there. So, and we took the pregame show on the road, outside Lambeau Field before a Monday night game. And Mike Holmgren was going back to where they have Holmgren Avenue, right? Oh, so wow. That was pretty cool. And the main thing about being a sideline reporter, you got to know where to stand. you don't want to get hit. I've never been hit by a player. And I've been doing sidelines for the Beavers since 2008. Mm-hmm. So 15 years. So I know where to stand. The worst thing that ever happened to me on the sideline It's Halloween in Corvallis. Everybody's wound up. The fans, the students have probably been doing some extra studying before, right? Before the game. And anyway, it was a wild scene. And I'm standing there, and I'm standing pretty close to a couple of Oregon State police. And all of a sudden, my left lower leg below my knee, something hit me. And it was so hard, and it hurt so bad. I went down. The cops came over. Somebody had a mini pumpkin with the stem still on it. And they threw it from the upper deck, but it hit me right there, and I went down. And I thought it was shot because it was so weird. But then, you know, the police saw the pumpkin. And I mean, they went on a full court press to try to find who did it, because you look up and not one person's even moving.
Wow.
You know, and so I got up and I shook it off. But man, the bruise was, I mean, the team doctor looked, I mean, it's the only time I've ever had a team doctor during a game look at me, right? So it was kind of embarrassing. But I said, I'm fine. And I tried to talk much because I had it was so bad I had to limp. You know, it's so painful at that point. So, but I got through it, and everything, you know, has been fine. I've you know, it's just a lot of fun. I'm still doing it. I had on June 24th of 21, I got total ankle replacement for my right ankle, which is a basketball ankle. And I did the first game in September at Purdue University on a scooter.
Wow.
You know, if I don't do this game, there's so many people who want this job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to stick around, and I tough it out, and I did. And so now it feels great. My ankle is so much better. I'm so blessed, you know, it's lucky. So
basketball, being a play-by-play announcer, is that action faster on a basketball court than a football field, or about the same?
Well, you know, I've been lucky enough to broadcast, like in the years down here, Mike Parker, who's the voice of the Beavers, he's been sick a few times. And so I've done 4 football games, so different. Football, you know, there's so much time between plays that it's not as frantic as basketball, which can be constant. But it's so much fun, especially because, you know, you just got to know the player's name. So you don't want to be going, oh, goes to 21 over to 22. Nice basket by 3. I mean, you could do that, but, you know, you wouldn't last very long. And so it's just been exciting to do that. And it's really exciting to you travel with the team, you get to know the players, the coaches, the staff, and you become kind of part of the family. And they've accepted me at Oregon State as part of that family. And I'm so, you know, I just can't wait already, you know, because they're going to be so good next year. I just know how good they're going to be. Mm-hmm. And one of the great things about Oregon State is they're involved in a basketball tournament every December on Maui. Nice. So, you know, I have to get over there and do a lot of research before. I want to go early. I said, I should get over there and really learn more about the tournament. But no, it's a lot of fun. And the coach, Scott Ruick's tremendous. He's, you know, since the last 10 years, they're 130-26 at home.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
Dang. My next little thing is catchphrases. Dave Niehaus had "My oh my" and "Gather the rye bread and the mustard, Grandma." It's grand salami time. Does Ron Callan have a catchphrase?
Well, when I'm doing basketball, sometimes if it's a really exciting basket, I'll just yell out, "Perfect! Perfect!" You know, that kind of thing. And but other than that, you know, I think I'm best known as the Beaver play-by-play guy who, you know, does say perfect, but he also, I think I'm known more for the singing of the anthem now than play-by-play.
And you're opera singer as well. I was reading about you. Yeah. Well. You still singing opera?
You know, you got to really have your voice in great shape to be in an opera. But I enjoyed my operas. I've been in, let's see, Marriage Figaro, Don Giovanni, Gilbert Sullivan's The Mikado. I was in La Traviata. But, you know, I've been in a lot more musicals than operas. You know, musicals are just a kick. And it's been a while since I've been in one, just because the broadcasting kind of removes the opportunity to do a lot of that, just because you've got to be at rehearsals every day. And, for me, I travel so much for football and basketball. And this time of year, like I work the Oregon State basketball camp in June. And then, August, here comes football. And then I've got the Seahawks. So
do you have any free time?
Yeah, well, the free time I have is, I am in a singing group, and my friend Tanya and we're going to Ireland. She and I are both singers, so we're going to try to sing in Ireland. So, it's more like sing karaoke. There are some singing pubs in the west part of Ireland. We're going to try to see. We've got a couple of songs worked up we may do.
And another question about you getting close to wrapping up. Technology has changed so much that you got in broadcasting until now. Everything's now a click of the button and it's posted. Did that take a little bit of changeover for you to kind of get in the swing of things from way back when to now? It's kind of crazy.
Well, I think there has been a dramatic change. I remember standing with 3 other reporters editing film by hand for the story. 16 millimeter film. And now, I was the first, one of the first guys, play-by-play guys, to post their post-game interview on Twitter. I've been kind of ahead of it. In fact, they get thousands of hits because the fans are so into it, whether it's football or women's hoops, and all you got to do is you're sitting there, you've got your headset on, right, for the radio broadcast. Then you get your phone out with a microphone that you plug in. It's called an iRig. And then you just hold that up and record the post-game interview on video. And then after the show's done, you put it on Twitter and the rest is history. You just gotta go with the flow, with technology today, because in some ways anybody can do it. You don't have to be a genius to do that. It's a little extra work. And, the other Pac-12 guys haven't done it yet. Hopefully, I think it's good for the sport. The scariest thing about the sport now is just the change in college athletics with the portal.
Yeah.
And the NIL, name, image, and likeness, and what's going to happen to the Pac-12. Those are the 3 things. And I think the Pac-12 story is the big one, because if Washington and Oregon leave, the Pac-12 is toast.
Yeah, for sure.
And so hopefully they'll come to their senses, because I guess about 6 weeks ago, I was down in LA broadcasting at UCLA and at USC. And so I was talking to the people who work like the scores tables and the people who travel with the teams, and I couldn't find one person who liked the idea of moving to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Every road game is 3 time zones away.
Yeah, it's true.
And think about that. For football, it's one thing, but when basketball, there's a lot of road games, and there's a lot of trips, and they're all 6-hour trips. So I'm glad that Oregon State's going nowhere.
For anyone out there who wants to become, get into sports broadcasting, and you share a little bit of how to do that, or the first steps to get into that?
Well, there's different routes people take. Most of them will go to, there's certain universities, Missouri, Syracuse, Washington State, that, do a lot of sports broadcasting. I went to Linfield, which had a great broadcasting journalism department. And, it helps to get a degree, but today it's more about how your tape sounds or how you look, and you've got to do your homework, and you got to know so much. It's great if you know geography really well. It's great if you know, of course, the sports you may be interested in. You should be a John Clayton, and be an encyclopedia. I was in encyclopedia, as a kid, and when you cover a team, you get to know the nuances about all the personalities. It's easier with basketball because you got 12 to 15 kids compared to football when they've got 100, and it's harder to get closer to football there. It's harder to get access, but be yourself, work hard. Don't expect to take, earn it. That's all. If you earn it, it'll happen.
Sounds good. Very encouraging words. Thanks so much. I could be here all day talking to you. I love sports. I'm a big sports fan. Always just baseball, football. I've been a baseball fan all my life, and thanks so much for the time. And if you're back in Silverdale, I'll find an orange cupcake for you and a cup of coffee. We'll have a good chat.
Okay, Jody. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much. Take care of yourself. Be safe.
All right, buddy. See you later. Bye.
This podcast has been around for over a year now, and I've had a chance to interview a lot of good people, a lot of funny people. This little snippet is by Ken Davis, who allows me to share some of his clips. I just want to be a little laughter today. This is titled Children Fighting on the Way to Church with comedian Ken Davis.
How many of you parents have found yourself on Sunday with your hands around the throat of a child you love very much? And you're saying something like, you get ready for church, get ready now so we can get there on time to learn about the love of Jesus. On the way to church, children become demon-possessed. I had two of the most beautiful girls on the way to church. They would fight like mortal enemies over nothing, over stupid stuff. This is my side of the car. This is my side over here. I am on my side of the car, and you are over here. You are breathing on my side. There are molecules coming from your side to my... You ever hear this? She's looking at me. How many teenagers? Any teenagers in here at all? Girls, do not say to your parents on the way... What is your name? Right there with the nice glasses on your head. Lisa, do not say to your parents, she's looking at me. Your parents are not equipped to handle. She's looking at me. No human with a brain can handle. She's looking at me. Sarah, if you want to mess with your parents, say something like, she hit me with a crowbar. We can handle that. Give me the crowbar. Don't hit her anymore. Was it just my car, or was your car like that? Any of you on the way to church ever grab the rearview mirror and give your children the Sunday morning look of love? That's worse than texting. So I did what I know some of you have done this. You ever grab the rearview mirror and change it to an aiming device? I'll come back there, so help me. Lean forward a half an inch and you'll meet Jesus today. God loved children. He did. He gave them the innate knowledge of that one spot in the car your arm can never reach. So you're going like that, and they're going strike two. I told that story about swinging my arm at the kids. A little old man came all the way from the back of the auditorium. Took him about 5 minutes to get to the front. He could hardly walk, and his finger was out like this. Any preachers in here? Any pastors in here, including the pastors of this church? Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Have you ever seen anybody come at you, George, with their finger out like this where it turned out to be a nice conversation? No. He came up to me and he said, I'm going to tell you something. When you were talking about swinging your arm at the children, he said, God taught me about that a long time ago. I thought this boy's going to crawl up one side of me and down the other. I just braced myself. I said, what did God teach you? And that old man got a sparkle in his eye. He said, God showed me that a touch on the brakes brings them right into play.
KenDavis.com. And since the seasons are changing, my next song is by Sydney Irving called Seasons Change. You can check out her music at SydneyIrvingMusic.com.
I do recall in mid-July how you smiled when I caught your eye. I wasn't looking for paradise. And it's so easy leading on this letter I don't plan on sending, saying I got out and you were looking for your sunshine, looking for your sunshine. We felt fast, but we knew it wouldn't last. 'Cause seasons change. You were looking for your sunshine, and I was dancing in the summer rain. We felt fast, but we knew it wouldn't last. 'Cause seasons change.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
When I say barbecue, does your mouth just start to water? Barbecue. Well, I got the place for you to go check out, right? Double D's, Barbecue and Smokery. They got the best tasting ribs, dry rub ribs, and the meat just literally fell off the bone the last plate I had. Delicious. Also, they have pulled brisket, pulled pork, sides like bacon, macaroni, and cheese, coleslaw, beans, and cream corn with green chilies. Little kick. Delicious. And the dessert, banana pudding. That's right, banana pudding. Where can you find that at, right? See, Brent and Dawn, the owners of Double D's, are both strong military veterans. They have found a home here in the Pacific Northwest, and their roots range from Texas to North Carolina and everywhere in between. They bring their amazing flavors to their ribs and their food truck, which is a catering business as well. You can reach them at 360-960-9093. They're on Facebook, Instagram. That's right, Double D's, Barbecue and Smokery. Delicious tasting ribs and barbecue. You got it. Check them out. I got one word for you. Donuts. Delicious, tasting, mouth-watering donuts. Can be found at Lone Star Donuts, a locally owned and operated business here in Kitsap County. They have 2 locations. Both of them have over 50 flavors, including apple fritters, bear claws, maple bars with real bacon, field donuts with apple, lemon, lime, and other amazing flavors. They also have a donut called the Banana Butterfinger Donut, the Banana Split Donut. I love coffee. Of course, they have the coffee donut and donut bites. Go down and see my friends at Lone Star Donuts in Silverdale, or you can call and place your order today at 360-204-5021, or head down to 10786 Maury Place in Silverdale. Also, over in the Port Orchard area, they have another location at 2649 Mile Hill Drive. You can call there at 360-443-2600 to get your amazing donuts. We know you can't buy happiness, but you know what? Buying donuts is kind of the same thing. Go down and see my friends at Lone Star Donuts in Silverdale or in Port Orchard. That's Lone Star Donuts. Are you craving some authentic, fresh Mexican food? I am. I want to tell you about 2 businesses here in Silverdale, Washington. They're both locally owned and operated. They got some of the best tasting Mexican food around. The first one is Tequila Street. They're a local food truck located at 9571 Silverdale Way in Silverdale, Washington. They got some best tasting breakfast burritos you'll ever find, including the Breakfast Tex Burrito, the Breakfast California Burrito, the Breakfast Ultimate Burrito, and my favorite, the Barbecue Pork Burrito. Delicious. They also add items like tacos, burritos, and other great tasting items. Call and place your order today. Go out and pick it up at 360-914-9152. That's at Tequila Street. Also, at the Kitsap Mall, Tequila. They have 5 kinds of tacos there. That's right, 5, including burritos, taquitos, taco salads, and my favorite, grilled jalapenos. Yummy. And many, many more delicious items. Also, on Taco Tuesdays, Tacos are 50% off. That's right, 50% off. Where can you find that deal, right? Call and place your order today at 360-698-4335 or head over to the website at tequizatacoshop.com and get some more great tasting, authentic Mexican food at Tequiza, located at the Kitsap Mall. Their number again is 360-698-4335. Next time I'll be playing, it reminds me of it's getting summer, it's getting warmer, it's time to hang out with friends, maybe go out to the ocean, to the beach, and just have our own party. And this is from the Redneck Files, Jessica Lynne Witty, and Chris Jones, Own Damn Party.
You bring tequila, I make the best damn margaritas.
Parked on a chair somewhere on the beach, summer's not that far out of reach. I got the itch for hitting some toes in the sand.
Maybe I can even catch me a tan.
Just drinking,
no thinking,
playing
and singing.
Grab a guitar, the next thing you know is it's a party that was started and I think it's getting hotter and it's popping non-stop and soon summer's got me feeling a lot damn. Baby got me playing and singing the tunes. Doesn't matter if it's on the beach or just a place that makes you move. You can throw a party, your own damn party, not a damn thing they can do.
Hey, hand me a beer. Don't need a shaker, don't need a blender.
I'm the best beachside fake bartender. If you want a fancy glass,
an unpronounceable drink,
here's an umbrella for your beer, I think.
Only one rule I got if you happen alone.
It's simple, just be happy, have a drink or two, and maybe just sing along. It's the party that we started, and I think it's getting hotter, and it's popping non-stop and soon summer's got me feeling a lot damn. Baby got me playing and singing the tunes. Doesn't matter if it's on the beach or just a place that makes you move. You can throw a party, your own damn party, not a damn thing they can do.
That's right.
Doesn't matter if it's on the beach or just a place that makes you move. You can throw a party,
My own damn party,
not a damn thing they can do. Come on, it's a party now we started and I think it's getting hotter and it's probably not stopping soon. Summer's got me feeling a lot damn. Baby got me playing and singing the tunes. Doesn't matter if it's on the beach or just a place that makes you move. You can throw a party.
That's right. You can go party.
Your own damn party. You can go party. Your own damn party. Not a damn thing they can do.
Own Damn Party. My next song is Better Man by Rocky Michaels. I'm excited to have him on in probably a week or so maybe. And really like his music and like his style. Hope you enjoy a song called Better Man. You can check out his website at RockyMichaelsMusic.com.
I used to walk around this cold and lonely world until the day that I found you. You gave me reason to think of more than just myself. Purpose to hold on can't promise you I'll always get it right. I'm still learning to grow too. But I'll keep working towards all that's good, and I'll be a better man because of you.
That was Better Man by Rocky Michaels. Thank you for joining today on this Chit and Chat, encouraging one another episode. My guest was Ron Callan, who has been around in sports broadcasting for a number of years. So much fun catching up. I've known him for a while and just finally reached out to him. And he is doing all kinds of things, but it's really fun. I'm a big sports fan, always fun catching up with him and hearing some stories he's gone through. We also discussed Dori Monson a little bit and John Clayton, Seattle icons in news and sports broadcasting. And I also want to thank Jessica and Witty and Chris Jones for sharing their song, Rocky Michaels, and Sydney Irvings as well. And always my podcasting sponsors, Lone Star Donuts, Tequiza and Tequiza Street, and Double D's Barbecue and Smokery. You can go to my website at chitandchatpodcast.com. That's CHITNCHAT podcast.com. I have links to my sponsors. You can go in there and click there. You can go and order, donuts from Lone Star, or Mexican food from Tequiza, or even some barbecue from Double D's Barbecue and Smokery. And thanks so much for being part of this podcast. And I share encouragement, just fun conversations with amazing people every Wednesday. A brand new episode post at 5 a.m. Pacific time, probably a little later in your time zone. If you want to give me a comment, a shout out, who you might want me to invite on this podcast, I'm not afraid to ask anybody to have a fun conversation and always about who's encouraged them, who's inspired them, and just fun chatting with people from all walks of life from all over the world. Well, thank you for listening today. This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one-on-one podcast. But it's always about encouraging others. Also, the music you're listening in the background is about Raymond Hayden, A Doorway Through Your Tears. Thanks, Raymond, for your music. Have a great day. Till next time, this is Chit and Chat. This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. It's always about encouraging others.